Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Extra Late Late Show. I'm your host, James Fellon, and today we have a very special guest. Let us welcome the writer behind the hit sensation Roots and Pulitzer Prize-winning author, Alex Haley. Why, it's a pleasure to be here. Now, Mr. Haley, we've got to talk about some of the themes and ideas that you've included in this story. One of the main ideas that I would like to discuss with you is the importance of valuing heritage and how different aspects of the book help strengthen that idea. Why, certainly, James. Throughout my boyhood, I had always heard stories of my great-great-great-great-grandfather who was kidnapped from Africa as a young boy. It was made a family tradition about 5 or 6 generations ago to tell the children about how he called a guitar Ko or a river Kambi Belongo, and would always insist that his name was Kinte. Now, how would you say these stories affected you while you were growing up? Well, it always made me feel as though I was missing something. We as people often forget our heritage and take for granted just how pivotal it is to understand ourselves and others. So when I was finally able to see the land that my ancestor Kunta Kinte was never able to return to, it felt as if the story of my entire bloodline had come full circle. Wow, what a great way of putting it. While I was reading, I actually noticed certain characteristics that seem to be common in your bloodline. For example, I absolutely love the resilience shown by Kunta. Even while he is being beaten, tortured, and at one point disfigured, he never lets his pride falter. Do you feel as though specific traits are able to be inherited from generation to generation? Well, yes, I do. While writing, I had actually thought about that, James. Being able to know your heritage doesn't only tell you about the past, it can also help us better understand ourselves. Another thing I would like to discuss is the main conflict seen throughout all of the protagonist's character arcs, man versus self. Kunta has issues with having to disregard his African culture in favor of the white man's culture. Chicken George's struggle with having to balance between fighting his chickens and even spending time with his family. And Tom, with him having to come to terms with being the man of his family. I found it very interesting of how common it was in the story. You would think that the main conflict would be with the white characters in the story, but that just isn't the case. Well, it's funny that you would mention that. The internal struggles are usually the hardest ones to deal with. While discussing slavery and other periods of discrimination, it's common for people to only discuss the mistreatment that blacks underwent. Rarely does anyone take into account how horrible slave state of minds were. Unlike the others, the reason why my ancestors were able to survive through such horrible times is that they held on to one feeling. The feeling of hope that one day they would be free. Well, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Haley. Do you have any more to say before we wrap up? Yes, I do. Our heritage should be valued very deeply. It makes us who we are, and it is a shame to see people denying it. Our ancestors, as I say in the last sentence of Roots, I feel that they do and watch and guide us, and I feel that they join me in the hope that this story of our people can help alleviate the legacies of the fact that preponderantly the histories have been written by the victors. Well, we thank you for being here, Mr. Haley. And as always, I'll see you next time on the Extra Late Late Show. Signing out.